Hi there. Welcome to Startup Steroid. Today we're interviewing Carolyn Peer. She is the CEO and co-founder of Humaxa. Humaxa is currently raising a seed round of $750,000. They already have commitments for about 25 to 30% of that and are targeting a close in early November of 2020. Um, Before we get started, a quick disclaimer. This interview is not meant to be investment advice. It's really the first step in your due diligence process if you actually do go ahead and make an investment in this company. Also, if you're an investor, you can get in touch with us with my email address at the bottom of the screen. And again, it'll come up at the end of the interview. And it's also in the description below. So you can get in touch with me if you have any more questions, or if you'd like to get in touch with Carolyn directly, I'll be happy to put you in touch with her. And if you are a founder and are looking to raise capital for your startup, you can get in touch with us through our website. Our website is startupsteroid.com. And through that, click on the founder link and fill in the form, and we'll get you added to our database. And then maybe you can be next on these interviews. But having said that, let's get into the interview with Carolyn. So Caroline, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm really interested to learn more about you and about Humaxa, which is the company you started. So let's start by a quick background on you, your career, and how you actually ended up at Humaxa. Let's start with a quick introduction.
Sure, absolutely. So my academic background is in cognitive neuroscience and instructional technology. And I have spent my entire career focused on helping organizations maximize their human capital. I got my start in HR technology, working for a small HR tech startup called Pro Business. I was an early employee there. We grew the company. It was acquired by ADP, the large worldwide payroll company. And I eventually took a role at ADP running one of their learning and performance organizations. And I left ADP in 2017 to found Humaxa. And the founding of Humaxa was really based on those 17 years of listening to our clients, listening to what they wanted, what was not available in the market. And we took all of that and put it directly into the product and the experience in Humaxa itself.
So before we get into Humaxa, ADP, obviously a giant company. You were well placed inside that company. How come ADP didn't start this? Because it seems like they would have the resources, right?
Oh yes, plenty of resources. No shortage of resources, but like any large organization, it was a 60,000 person company and probably still is very close to that. It felt like trying to move the Titanic. We did do some innovative things with my teams, but it was very difficult to do anything quickly. I think it would be another 50 years before we were able to really roll out something to the nature of Humaxa.
Wow.
So it simply was just taking too long.
Okay, got it. So tell me how you started Humaxa, any partners that you sort of joined with, and how you actually put the team together first.
Sure. I was incredibly lucky. When I left ADP, I had already lined up my technical co-founder. His name is Guillermo Borges, and he has a very strong background in computer science, artificial intelligence, machine learning. He was actually given a full scholarship to do a PhD in machine learning and was in the process of doing that when I left ADP. And I told him, finish your degree and then we'll work on Humaxa. And completely unbeknownst to me, he had decided to leave the PhD program and join Humaxa.
Oh, wow.
And really put all of his academic expertise and knowledge into designing our our patent pending matching algorithm that acts very much like if whatever it is, the person, their issue, their employee issue, it will predict the solution that will help them. And so that was really key to our technology, and frankly his expertise really helped make that happen. So
That's
we
a
were
pretty
we were
big
the two
commitment.
founders.
Yeah, that's a pretty big
It's
commitment.
it's a huge commitment, and I told him don't do it, but he has a mind of his own. He's an adult.
Got it. Got it. All right. So
Yes.
let's introduce Humaxa, and Max in Humaxa stands for your product. So tell us a little bit more about the actual product and the problem you're trying to solve.
Absolutely. So our AI assistant is affectionately named Max, and Max tries to figure out what each employee needs and wants to engage and perform the very best that they can on the job. So it's using predictive analytics, and it's entirely conversational. So it's very much like Siri or Alexa, but instead of asking for the weather or directions to the barbershop, you are having a conversation with a machine about what you need and what you want to be able to fully engage, help the company perform the best that it can. And what we're seeing from a data perspective is it's very different from person to person. And the beauty of having an anonymous AI assistant is that even when the person isn't comfortable sharing how they really feel or what they really need to perform on the job, it's anonymous. So it's trying to help them. It's gathering data for the leadership of the organization, and it's trying to help the employee improve. So if I am a computer scientist and I feel like I'm really not good enough at data science, for example, and that's a core part of my job, I might feel really nervous about going to my boss and saying, yeah, I'm not very good at data science. Can you help me? I
Right.
mean, hopefully, there would be a level of honesty that would, that would happen. But
Right.
sometimes people don't feel comfortable really delving into where they have perhaps a deficiency or something else that's is sensitive in nature.
Right.
So having this AI assistant really can get to the root of what's happening and what people need. So the AI assistant is gathering all this information. Hey, 25% of your people are really struggling with data science. What would you like to do about it? But
Right.
on the employee side, it's saying, oh, okay, Carolyn, I understand. You need help with data science. There's a group that gets together every Tuesday afternoon and discusses concepts in data science. Would you like me to introduce you to that group?
Right.
Sure, why not?
Right.
Or, hey, would you like me to set you up with a mentor? It can be anybody within the organization, someone who's already raised their hand and said, I'm willing to help people out.
Right.
Hey, that's wonderful. Or maybe there's something else that's really deterring people from performing and engaging on the job. It could be that they feel that they're being discriminated against. Hey, I feel like, people from different backgrounds aren't valued here or aren't being included. Oh gosh, Carolyn, I'm really sorry about that. Let me connect you with a resource. You can nominate somebody from a group that maybe that has been overlooked and bring recognition, talk about what they've contributed to the organization. And the AI will still be able to do that in an anonymous fashion, kind of helping make things better, but then simultaneously bubbling up potential employee issues before they ever become issues in the first place,
Right.
using these predictive analytics.
Got
That's
it.
what we do.
Got it. Okay, perfect. So that's definitely a mouthful. So let me see if I can break it down a little bit and correct me if
Absolutely.
I'm
Yep.
wrong in this. But it's not just an employee issue where they might need to learn more things or need mentoring or certain things like that, but also inter-employee issues where someone doesn't feel safe with someone else, or if they have an
Mm-hmm.
issue, it might be a whole
Yes.
host of things. So it's working on both sides, and then it's gathering all of that information anonymously to deliver to the leadership and basically say, okay,
Right.
here's how the organization is functioning. Is
Right.
that more or
Right.
less right?
So if there's a problem, you want to detect that problem at the very earliest stage so
Right.
that it can be attacked from two sides. You've got the employee who's learning how to help themselves, whatever the issue is,
Mm-hmm.
and that data is all being collected and being handed over to the leadership of the organization along with recommendations, so you can get it from both sides and make sure that whatever issue it is that's preventing people from performing or preventing people from engaging, that you're going to catch it at the very earliest
Okay.
moment in time so that it never becomes an issue to begin with.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. So this obviously with AI, you need more data. You need it's you know it's a big issue to work through. So tell me where you are in the development process. You said you started in 2017, if I heard you correctly. So where are you today?
Sure.
And do you have people using it though? Right. That's the next question.
Of course, yes. So we formed the company in 2017, but
Okay.
really the first 6 months we just spent a lot of time collecting data, figuring out what really were the number one issues that people had with products in the market today, because there are products that try to solve these problems, even though they're very difficult to
Okay.
solve. We started building a prototype in early 2018. And then we rolled out that prototype in September of 2018 to our first 3 clients. And we iterated the product over time, launched publicly in December of 2019. So we spent quite a bit of time in beta with those first 3 clients, really
Right.
iterating the product, getting everything, especially with the conversational AI, to get it just right. We wanted to, make a big impact when we did go to market with it. So we've really been full force publicly in the market since December. It's about 6 months now. And we've been growing. We're fortunate enough, we've been growing about 8 to 10% month over month since then. So we started at 0, and we now have over 9,000 users on the platform today. We have between 20 and 30 clients, and we're seeing about a 10% conversion rate to paid clients. And we're just starting to get market pull from up-market big enterprise organizations. I met with
Fantastic.
4 just last week. So
wow. Okay. So
that's
we're definitely going
new.
to talk about that in 1 second. But just to understand, so you're starting these clients off with a free trial.
Correct.
How long is that free trial for?
30 days.
30 days. And generally, how many users do clients put on the platform for that 30 days?
We recommend about 15.
About 15. Okay.
15 is a good number to get everybody just, playing with the technology, start talking to the AI, figure out, it will start trying to figure out what people need. It does take time because it takes data. I mean, part of the predictive algorithms are based on everyone's data.
Right.
So a really obvious example of that is if I talk to the assistant and tell the assistant that I'm interested in sales, there's a pretty high probability that it's going to guess I'm probably also interested in marketing, for example. But there's some correlations that are unusual that we've found out just through looking at the data. But for each individual person to really figure out what they need, it does take some time, and it frankly just takes data. So yes, it takes some time to ramp up.
Got it. So generally the clients, just to go back to the story, clients will start out with about 15 users, go through that free trial. 10% of them raise their hand and say, we love it, let's roll it out.
Correct.
So at that point, they'll roll it out to the larger organization, I'm guessing. So more than 15, obviously.
Right.
How many, on average, how many users do you get for each client?
So the clients that are currently using the platform today, almost all of them are between 20 and 200. Okay. Small to mid-sized organizations. We have one outlier that has about between 6,000 and 7,000 people, but there's only one. It's an outlier.
Got
But
it.
I do think that as we start rolling out more up market, that, I mean, part of the value that Humaxa brings is scalability. I mean,
Right.
if you think it at its infinitesimal, I mean, if you have a room full of 5 employees and everybody is together, the chances of you not knowing what they need to be able
Right.
to perform is very unlikely. That's
Right.
an extreme case. But if you take to the other extreme, when you have 50,000 employees and they're distributed all over the world, maybe they're a global organization, it starts to get really hard really quickly to
Got
figure
it.
out how to
Got it.
optimize your human capital,
So
which
this
is,
really, yeah, this really is meant for those larger clients, right? Is meant for organizations that might have thousands of clients in multiple
yes,
locations spread
yes,
around the world.
yes. I mean, it does add value even for a small to mid-sized organization if they're highly distributed, global, and have some kind of, either they've maybe gone through a merger or acquisition, gone through some sort of organizational change, and there's, for example, handoffs that need to happen. There needs to be better communication amongst the workforce itself. We do
Right.
see some pretty strong use cases there also.
Which to me is like such perfect timing. You started earlier this year, and immediately we go into the COVID world
Right,
where everyone's working from home. So,
right,
distributed workforce is like voila.
right,
So tell
right.
me how that transition really affected your business, and is it helping with the users that you have on the platform, or what are you seeing with that?
Right. It's a really good question. So, COVID for us, and of course, we had no idea that COVID was
Right.
going to happen the way it did.
Sure.
And the timing was rather interesting. Before COVID, I think we had 4 clients on the platform, and we now have between 20 and 30. So, it's definitely helped us,
Right.
especially in the sort of top of the funnel. We started getting, instant notifications. Hey, someone's downloading. Really a very strong interest. Now on the enterprise side of things, the decision making process has slowed down a little bit, I think, due to COVID. For
Hmm.
example, we met with a very large, probably one of the largest consumer electronics companies in the world, and they loved what we were doing. We met with them 6 times. We were working on a pilot with them, and then COVID hit, and consumer electronics, they had huge supply chain issues. They had some really big problems they had to deal with. And so the project that we were a part of got put on hold. So
Right.
it's been a double-edged sword, but overall, the fact that organizations are far more distributed and remote in
Hmm.
nature has helped us for sure.
Okay. Perfect. So now tell me about the 4 companies that you just spoke to last week. And again, it's okay if you don't want to name them, but I would like to get some idea of what that conversation is like. How many users you can potentially expect, and when you can expect them to come on the platform.
Right. Great question. So, manufacturing, IT services, insurance, and the fourth one is escaping me right this second. They all are large, between 4,000 and 15,000 employees each.
Okay.
And this is actually a really strong case. So, right now, our technology integrates directly with Slack, and we're currently working on an integration with Microsoft Teams. The problem that we have right now is we have a very small team, and really part of the reason we're looking for investment is to build out this Microsoft Teams integration. Every single enterprise client that we met with last week uses Microsoft, and they
Okay.
want that integration. So
Got it.
that is going to be a really big priority in the next, we'll say, 4 months. By the end of
Got it.
this year, we need to have the Microsoft Teams integration built. For
Got it.
smaller, small to mid-sized clients, Slack is very common. But
Mhm.
for large enterprise clients, and especially because Microsoft has been going after Slack,
Right.
and
Right. Right.
they're doing well against. I mean, who doesn't use Microsoft Office in enterprise clients? It's
Right.
everywhere,
Right. Right. Right.
ubiquitous.
Yeah. Um, so are these clients, uh, do they want to start testing the product while you work on the integration, or are they just saying, okay, let's wait until you have the integration? Tell me on the status on where they are.
Right. So one of them wants to see our presentation. They know that it's not on Teams, it's going to be in Slack, and they're
Okay.
okay with that
Okay.
because they understand it's on our roadmap and they want to, kind of plan ahead.
Right.
Uh, the others, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Most of them, I think, would prefer to see it on the platform that they're currently using.
Right.
But every client I've ever talked to has said, Carolyn, don't make me go download another app or
Right.
have all my people go download another app. Have your technology come to us right in the flow of work. And so that's why we build these integrations.
Got it.
We last November built a communications routing layer into the software itself that will make it infinitely better and easier to plug in different communication apps that are out there. So, I mean, we're talking about Slack, we're talking about Microsoft Teams, but it could be SMS, text, it could be
Right.
Google Chat, it could be, there's any messaging app that makes its APIs public, we can plug
You
into.
can
We just
integrate.
need a good use case to do it.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So let's back up and give me an idea. You mentioned your team is relatively small. So tell me
Yes.
who's on the team. You already mentioned your co-founder. Who else is on the
Yes.
team, and what resources you really need to get this integration done and get to the next level?
Right. So there's myself, Guillermo Borges is our CTO. We have a head of marketing, and we have another software developer, and then we have a part-time data scientist. So there's 5 of us, 4 of us working full-time, and 1 part-time data scientist. So the problem is, even with our technology, just maintaining it and uh, supporting our current clients, trying to dedicate a team of people to build the Microsoft integration. I
Right.
mean, we've been trying to do it for a while. We keep getting pulled off to maintain the software that we have or respond to a client request, these kind of things. So it's, I mean, we need to bring somebody else on to help with that
Right.
integration, which is part of the reason we're raising money.
Yeah. Um, so is Guillermo and the other, not the data scientist, but the other software engineer,
Yes.
are they really developing everything in-house, or are you
Yes.
working with, they are, okay.
Yes. All of our
Wow.
software is developed in-house, and all of the intellectual property is owned by the company. Everybody has signed off on that. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, so let me ask you about sort of how long this development will take, because with a team that small, yes, you can add a couple of more people to the development team, but how long would Microsoft integration take? How long would text or SMS integration take? Just give me a ballpark so I understand the timeline.
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
Yes. If we could have one person dedicated, in fact, what we would probably do is take one of our people that already knows the software inside out, have
Mhm.
them dedicated to just building out the Microsoft Teams with no further interruptions, 10 weeks. And then we'd hire somebody else to come in and perhaps help with the front end development or something that would be easier to learn.
Got it. Got it. So you said that you've sort of started, but you keep getting pulled off of that. So
Yes.
it's 10 weeks essentially from when you get that additional resource in.
Exactly.
That's what I'm guessing. Okay.
Yes.
Um, okay. Sounds good. Um, now, tell me, you said you had a marketing person. So that's really interesting. And obviously, you have 30 clients now, 20 to 30. So
Mhm.
they're working with them. Are you sourcing more clients? What size of clients are you going after? Tell me a little bit about sort of your go-to-market strategy.
Sure, absolutely. So our head of marketing, her name is Jennifer Gargolinski, and she has a long history in enterprise software sales. She has over $1 billion in enterprise sales. She definitely knows her stuff. And we have been optimizing for search engine marketing. We have been using word of mouth, frankly, content marketing, direct sales. And then we also were fortunate enough to be featured on the front page of the Slack app directory twice. Once on the front page they have a category called new and noteworthy. And then the second time was for working from home. And so each time that has happened, there's been a huge spike in traffic to our website, and of course a spike in people downloading our software as well. So I think what Jennifer has really helped us to do is to hone in on exactly our ideal client profile, that small to mid-sized organization, tech enabled. I used to say highly distributed and global, but that's kind of everybody now.
Right.
It makes it a little harder. English speaking. So right now our AI speaks English. So even though we have clients from all over the world, it does speak English. And we have had requests, hey, can you have it speak Spanish? Can you have it, can you have it speak Mandarin? Or, we haven't been able, with the resources we have not been able to do any of that.
Right.
So we do try to target global organizations, because usually even an international organization that has a global presence uses English as a business standard.
Right.
And the good thing is, it's because it's not a real conversation with a real person. If you need to go look up what a word means, if you're a non-native speaker of English, the AI will wait all day long for you to come up with the right response. So,
Okay. So when you say small to mid-sized companies, it scares me a little bit, because now I'm concerned about how do you integrate with those companies' resources. So that company might have courses or might have those mentorship programs. That might be different from the next company. Might be different from the company after that. So how do you integrate with each of the companies? And is that an intensive process? Because then I can see all of your resources going towards that.
Actually, it's not. It's very easy. We don't present it as being really easy because we charge for it. So it's part of a service that we offer. You can use our technology straight out of the box, and it works well with virtually any organization. But if an organization does have an existing, for example, an existing learning management system, or a coaching program, or they
mentorship
have
program or something,
mentorship program or anything like that, we try to figure out, is it going to be a deep integration or a direct link? Those are kind of the two categories. The direct link, frankly, it's really easy. All you have to do is look at what they want to customize, what they want the AI to talk about, and then based on the answers, then where should it direct them? And it's literally just put a link in. It's that easy. Now, if it's a deep integration, it gets a little trickier. So for example, there's in content management systems, a lot of times there's tags, content gets tagged with these different things. If you want to do a complex, like if it's, this tag, and this tag, we want to send it here, it gets more complicated and more expensive, frankly.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So you do charge for that service. So if Guillermo or some other person in your team has to be dedicated for it, you're at least getting compensated for it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. Now let give me an idea of where you're going. So you said, you're hoping to get this done in about 10 weeks. What does that mean for your growth rate? Right now you have about 9,000 users on the platform. What does it look like in, let's say, next 3 months, or by end of the year, end of 2020? And what does it look like into 2021?
Right. We want to get to at least 20% month over month growth by the end of this year.
Okay.
So we're at 8 to 10 right now. We think if we throw fuel on the fire, get that integration, really ramp up the sales and marketing, that we can reach at least 20% growth month over month growth by the end of this year.
Okay. And what do you think 2021 looks like? Because by then, hopefully, you have the Microsoft integration.
Right,
You have a lot of these other resources that you're talking about. Give
right,
me an
right.
idea of maybe revenue. And again, we don't have to talk about exact numbers for investors. It's all in the deal room, so they can get in touch with us so you can give them access to it. But since this is public, just give us a taste of what that is.
Sure. So our goal by the end of 2021 is to reach between 7 and 8 million ARR by the end
Okay,
of 2021. That's our
fantastic.
goal.
Okay. And that's a significant jump from where you are today.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. Um,
Yep.
okay. I think that is a great start. Tell me anything else that I might have missed out on, any other big plans, anything that you're looking forward to?
I could tell a story of one of our clients, which I think is compelling.
Yes. Okay. That would be great.
Okay, sure. So one of our clients, their business is to be able to spin up customer service teams very quickly for their clients. So they were using a competitor of ours. They have a team that is just their internal employees. And they have all these other teams that they have spun up and then are given to their clients to perform customer support.
Right.
And they do this all over the world. So they heard about us through word of mouth, and we got in touch, and they said, hey, we just like to try it. We're not going to get rid of the competitor that we're using, but we'd like to try yours on top of what we're already doing to kind of feel out and see what happens. So they did, and we started working with them, and they liked it so much that they, first of all, they completely got rid of our competitor. They just blew them off. And they rolled it out not just to their internal team, but they rolled it out to every other team that they have now lent out, these customer service teams, for all of their clients. And they have, I mean, we're very lucky. They're a fantastic client. They've been singing the praises of Humaxa from the top of their buildings. But perhaps more importantly, what they have found out, these sort of beginnings of problems brewing amongst their own internal workforce, but also I think predominantly from these teams that they've been lending out to these clients to really find out information they did not know. They didn't know these things were happening. Their CEO got on a webinar not long ago and was telling the audience, you won't believe what people will tell you when they're able to have these live anonymous conversations. So at some point, our AI assistant, delivers the data to the employer. But if the employer looks at that data and says, I don't understand what this means, the employer can use our AI assistant to initiate a live anonymous conversation with that person to really figure out what they meant without either party having to disclose who they are. In this
Oh, wow.
case, the AI acts as almost a liaison or a courier to instantaneously deliver these messages back and forth. So if someone says, yeah, I am now assigned to this client and they're harassing me or they're treating their people very badly. Oh, what do you mean by that? You can literally have a conversation and people are opening up because it's anonymous and they can really explain what they really feel and what's really happening behind the scenes. And when this client's CEO got on and talked about remote work, her eyes got about this big. She said, you won't believe what kinds of things people will tell you when you can have these live anonymous conversations.
Wow. Okay. So now they're talking to their employees anonymously so they can really learn more about their lives and what's happening, the issues they're dealing with.
Right.
Fantastic.
Exactly. Right. And prevent these potentially serious problems. I mean, this is 2020. You never know. There could be riots on the streets. There could be employees who don't feel safe about COVID things, but they don't have a good way to, feel comfortable talking about these things, or, it could be some, diversity or racism thing. I mean, you need to know about these things if they start brewing. And so it never gets to the point of being this big company problem.
Right.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah, I mean, in this today's world, it could be something as simple as, three employees are not wearing their masks, and that doesn't make
Right,
them feel safe in the office. So, yeah.
right, right. Exactly.
Fantastic. One other question I forgot to ask you is I want to know more about your competitors and how you see
Sure.
yourself fitting into the landscape. Because there are plenty of chatbots and AI assistants and things like that out there.
Hmm. Hmm.
But you're sort of going after a different niche. So tell me how you see
Yes,
the landscape and where you fall in that.
absolutely. So you're right. There's tons of chatbots. Usually in the HR tech world, the chatbot focuses on frequently asked questions. So you can ask things like, how much, what's my vacation balance? Can I take a vacation in February? How do I reach our employee portal? These are kind of FAQ type questions. That's not what we do. We
Hmm.
actually have partners that we can integrate with if that's what somebody's looking for, but that's not what we do. We try to surface what kind of potential issues could be happening amongst the employee base that's going to prevent people from performing the best that they can on the job and maintaining their engagement levels even amongst a highly distributed workforce. So it's very narrow focus, but it unearths these problems that could become huge and extremely expensive.
Got it.
So, if an organization isn't using an AI assistant or chatbot like thing, typically how they would try to surface these problems is through a survey. So maybe every year they send out a survey, or every 6 months. Now they're getting more into the pulse surveys, which happen more often. But
Hmm.
again, it's a one-way flow of information. And I don't know about everybody else, but when I used to administer surveys to my own teams, they would say things to me like, Carolyn, can we just put all fives? Nothing ever happens to this. No
Right.
progress is ever made. And so we get back these glowing numbers, but they're meaningless, all statistically valid. And for sure, that was true. But if people aren't really sharing what's going to make a difference, it's far less effective than using an intelligent assistant that can really help move the needle and do it right in the flow of work.
Got it. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on today. And I really appreciated the call and all of the information about Humaxa. Fantastic conversation. And I hope we can find you the resources that you need to really take the company to the next level.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dhaval.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay. Thank you.
Again, thank you so much to Caroline for coming on today. Just as a reminder, Humaxa is raising $750,000 with a target close of early November 2020. Um, if you are an investor and want to get in touch with me, if you have more questions, or if you want to get in touch directly with Caroline, please email me at my email address on screen. It's also in the description below, so you can just click on the link if that's easier. And if you are a startup and are interested in starting the due diligence process with an interview like this, please get in touch with us through our website. Our website is startupsteroid.com. Thank you again for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next interview.